Alright everyone, we start off today talking of course about the Darrell Brooks racially motivated terrorist attack being deemed an accident by several legacy media outlets and also by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Now, MSNBC right now is straddling the line between being obsessed with antagonizing Kyle Rittenhouse into suing them for repeatedly defaming him. They've basically made his case for him in the last few days, and outright race-baiting propaganda. You've seen it from CNN, where there's nothing worse, there's nothing scarier than an angry white male right now. And I wrote a rebuttal to that actually on Substack. A link in the description of this video if you want to join my Substack. Actually, it's the legacy media that's scary, because the legacy media is the one that foments wars, created the Kenosha riots in the wake of its misrepresentation of the Jacob Blake case, therefore created the shootings involving Rittenhouse. He gets off. Now they have created what I believe is a retaliatory attack. Now, there will be no thorough investigation into the motive behind Darrell Brooks. He will simply say, well, I was fleeing the cops anyway. I'm sorry, it was an accident. And the legacy media won't push the issue, because they don't want to realize the reality that if you look at his social media, you've got a long track record, not just of saying edgy things. See, this is the thing. Here's the propaganda. MSNBC will look back through the Twitter or the Instagram or something of someone like a fucking Sargon of Akkad or Stefan Molyneux or Lauren Southern, and they'll find an instance of them 6 or 7 years ago saying a joke that could be construed as vaguely racist or homophobic. They'll flip out and they'll say whatever this person does is colored by their deep-seated bigotry. This individual has now killed 6 people. Unfortunately, one of the small children struck just died the other night. Injured dozens of people. You have multiple years of social media material there, much of which has been archived, thankfully, much of which shows a deep-seated racial animus. We're not talking about this person made a joke about white people not being able to jump. Nobody cares. That's not racist. It's not bigotry. Nobody cares except the legacy media spinning the heads of the pink-haired freaks around once in a while for clickbait in order to get more money. But what people would care about is him saying, "Ayo, knock out all the white people, especially the old ones." Openly promoting violence, openly advocating violence, openly chuckling about violence towards white people, praising BLM, which is a racist organization. They can brand themselves otherwise. They were spawned initially by Marxists as part of their subversion general effort, along with critical race theory. I would argue that there are some similarities between these two movements. I fucking wonder why. But Darrell Brooks is a racist. A real one that actually advocates harming people based on the color of their skin. MSNBC calls his attack on the largely white Christmas parade crowd, those were mainly white people that were killed and injured, well, it's an accident. Doesn't matter. He did it by accident. He chose the wrong road. He was fleeing police anyway. Maybe they shouldn't have, the people are ranting right now about bail levels. I love it. There are actually articles, this shows you the stupidity of the leftoids optically, that are whining about how this will lead the conservatives to attack efforts to reduce onerous bail. Well, no, he shouldn't have been out on bail. He tried to run a woman over as a violent career criminal. Who would have possibly thought he was capable of something like this? I have no problem with eliminating or severely reducing bail for the average defendant. This is not the average defendant. These are significant crimes, the kinds that libertarians also want to keep enforcing. Anyway, keep in mind, down below if you're watching this video on YouTube, before I continue this hilarious rant about a not-so-hilarious event, there will be a pinned comment down below if you're watching this video on YouTube with links to 5 other video hosting sites that I use. Keep in mind I make several new tech exclusives every day that only go on those platforms and not on YouTube. Today I'll probably cut it short and only do one, even though I've got a huge backlog, because I didn't upload for 2 days because it is Thanksgiving, and that means yummy times. No turkey, though. The only turkey that I can find in this country is that shitty sandwich meat pressed turkey that for some reason every diet aficionado is fond of, even though it has no flavor. The proper way to prepare a sandwich with that turkey meat is to throw it in the fucking garbage, just to be clear. Turkey has to be cooked with many other things to be flavorful. On its own, Where's the flavor? It's like the least flavorful meat. Its defining feature is it absorbs flavor. That's why you fucking use stuffing and shit like that. But getting past that, can you tell I'm a little bit caffeinated today? MSNBC is calling the Waukesha attack an accident. Then the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops made a tweet referring to it as an accident as well. I was sitting there and thinking, any of you Catholics that don't yet realize that it's Vatican II, like some of the TradCon Catholics have believed for years, that the current Pope is illegitimate and the priesthood is corrupt beyond all recall? I guess that the gates of the church were prevailed against by hell. Honestly, if I were a Catholic, I'd fucking deconvert. I'd be thinking about orthodoxy or the Protestant path or fucking joining a UFO cult, because even that at this point would be more believable than thinking that people that are this fucking stupid are led by a divine being. MSNBC, though, I mean, is worse. U.S. Conference of American Bishops, of Catholic Bishops. Who cares? If you're not a Catholic, they don't in any way represent you. It's bishops specifically within the U.S. Nobody gives a fuck about these old dudes rambling about a subject they clearly do not understand because of their terminology. MSNBC does understand. They know full well what they are doing. Their propaganda is to try to get people to, much like they had people believing that Kyle Rittenhouse shot a bunch of black people, or that Jacob Blake had been killed by police, neither of which is the case, just like they convinced people that Rittenhouse had a long history of being basically a Confederate flag-wearing Klan enthusiast, which never happened. He's come out multiple times now and iterated, hey, I don't have a problem with BLM. I was attacked. It was self-defense. I knew that. Oddly enough, a lot of people on the right wanted to paint him as some sort of racial hero based on the fact that he defended himself and the legacy media dogpiled him. I wrote a Substack, again, the other day, rebutting some of this horseshit. You should go and read it. There's no reason to do that. Why are people not fixated on the real enemy here? It's the legacy media. The corporate media created all of these problems. They created the Kenosha riots through their misrepresentation of what Jacob Blake did. They painted him as an innocent man, a stellar character with a blemishless attitude and list of activities. Like he drives to church every day, he loves his kids, he loves his neighbors, he's painting little old ladies' houses. No. On video, we saw a completely different story. But there are people who never got to see that, at least in context and in full, because they're paying attention to propagandists at MSNBC, CNN, etc. They paint a false picture of what happened there because they wanted to create havoc. They wanted riots. I allege that in those boardrooms, a lot of people behind the scenes that work for those companies, they wanted the riots to happen. They loved it. They had lots of burning footage. It makes for good news. And when people in the population are squabbling about a non-existent racial motive in all of these cases, they're not fixated on the legacy media creating this havoc, creating the division to make money. It's all about the money. Everything that goes on, I don't think people realize, past race, demographics, ethnicity, gender, all of these other subcultural topics or civic topics that happen is a great big pile of cash. If you can get two groups of people to fight over literally anything, you can extract money from them by pretending to be one of their friends. Otherwise, nobody's giving you anything. Nobody gives a shit about the legacy media when it reports on things that aren't exciting. Burning cars are exciting. Atom bombs and little children getting wasted by someone with a machine gun. These things are good reporting. Especially when you can put in a false motive, get people arguing with one another, and extract more attention and get more fucking clickbait ad revenue. That's what MSNBC is doing here. They created the Kenosha riots, in part, along with other legacy media outlets. Billions of dollars in damage were done, dozens of people killed, mainly by BLM and Antifa thugs. Then, Kyle Rittenhouse is at one of the riots. He gets attacked, shoots several people in self-defense. For an entire year, we're lied to and told he had an illegal weapon. He crossed state lines with it. He went there with the specific motive to kill, and he's a racist. None of these things were ever true. And a jury has found that not true. MSNBC has spent the last few days trying to invite a defamation suit by continuing to peddle lies that have been disproven based on evidence and found in a court of law. It's almost like they want to get sued. I can't think of any reason why Joy Reid and all these other morons on networks like MSNBC would continue to attempt to antagonize Kyle Rittenhouse. So they created that dilemma. After all, they had created the riots, so then they set him up to be evil, Nazi, white supremacist kid with an illegal weapon, very murderous, very terrible individual, Proud Boys and shit like that. Then, this happens because of their fake reporting. They've said, well, the Nazi went free, and it was mostly a white jury. You know, much like the 11 white people on the Ahmaud Arbery McMichelson case decided to not exonerate anyone and throw the book at 3 people. Now they're going to go and spend the rest of their lives probably in prison. Where's race in this? Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, like flies on a desiccated fucking cadaver, swarm in the other day to be outside the courtroom and take credit for, whoa, look at what we've accomplished. We've gotten ourselves justice because I've got some Black Panthers and BLM members outside the court. The jury would have found him guilty anyway, but again, it's chalked up to race. The grifters, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, the David Dukes on the other side, which have the same exact fucking strategy and nobody realizes it. The whole legacy media, regardless of what network it is, most of the missing link media, these people are like vultures. They're parasites. They're like fleas. And they're leeching off the asshole of the United States by deliberately causing problems so that they can report on them and then sell snake oil cures for them that inevitably won't work. It's the same as why if there was a cure for cancer, it'd be buried in a research vault somewhere and no one would ever talk about it. Well, we can't give people cancer treatments. We can't sell them all the chemo drugs now. We'd lose money. Not going to do that. Cure for AIDS. You're never going to get that either. There are millions of people who are relying on those pills. Making a lot of Benjamins. Follow the fucking money. Yeah, accident my ass. There was no accident, Waukesha, except that the accident was the legacy media pissing itself with glee over the fact that there was more violence. They're also probably glad that that little kid that was on life support ended up dying last night. Because it's great reporting. They can shed a few crocodile tears. Oh, it's very, very sad. From their fucking penthouse distance, they can't even see Waukesha. Closest they would ever get is goddamn Chicago. That's about all. Peace out.